You're tuning in to Creepy Time, where we bring you chilling creepy stories and eerie urban legends every day at 6 p.m. To support Creepy Time, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments so we can discuss the story together. Now, let's dive into today's tale. Rules of survival for long-haul drivers. I could feel every mile under my wheels, the hum of tires on asphalt, a lullaby and a warning. My name is Jason Malloy, 34 years old, long-haul trucker. And until a few weeks ago, I believed my scariest threats were narrow mountain passes or freezing winter storms. I never imagined it would come in the form of a letter and invitation to drive into something darker. Just like many of you might, I'd clock in, haul appliances and furniture from warehouse to warehouse, scrap by scrap, paycheck by paycheck. Not glamorous, but honest work. Then one morning, after a 16-hour haul into Wyoming, I shuffled into my cramped apartment, saw a thick cream-colored envelope in my mailbox no return address. Just my name scrawled in ink that felt almost ancient. As I slid it open, the cheddar yellow glow of the elevator light felt dimmer than usual. Inside were 2 pages, a terse letter, and an even terser contract. The letter praised my drive record, no incidents, punctual, and offered me $8,000 a run, with just 2 to 3 runs a month. The contract was slim, sterilely but at the bottom. In tiny, bold type, a chilling clause. Drivers must follow safety protocols provided before each trip. Violation may result in serious harm or death. I laughed. What trucker doesn't scoff at boilerplate legalese? But tucked into the corner was a second, fixed-stained, handwritten page labeled simply, Survival Rules. The rest was smudged, unreadable. Did it matter? $8,000 more than I'd seen in months slapped any caution away like windshield wipers in a storm. I signed, sealed it, sent it back next morning. But here's the thing, years of busting my ass in back-to-back shifts had taught me that when something seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's when the line between fantasy and nightmare blurs. In trucking forums and Reddit threads I followed, desperate drivers sometimes take on outsider loads or under-the-table hauls at high pay with zero safety guarantees. I remember one post, paid me $12K to move a sealed Creteno dock, no name, just GPS cord. I never touched it, but the weight was off, called it in, never got another load. It's real. Fleeting luck, fast cash butt ghosts can ride shotgun. So, at 5 a.m. the next morning, I pulled into a deserted lot, cold air, fog slithering around trailer tires. A skinny pale guy in an old black coat stood by a midnight blue rig. He slid me a folder, 5 rules typed in bold. Read them, obey them, no exceptions. Rule 1, don't stop at deserted gas stations after 2 a.m. And just like that, a simple job offer turned into a descent into a nightmare I couldn't outrun. Darkness swallowed the highway as I merged onto blacktop, the blue rig's headlights cutting through midnight fog. My chest felt heavy fear and adrenaline tangled in a silent punch. I couldn't read what was in that sealed container, but I felt its weight in my gut no matter the mechanical scale. I kept the folder open on the dash, Rule 1 still in reddish ink, no stopping at deserted gas stations after 2 a.m. I told myself, stick to the rules, you're safe. But as the miles stretched, 2 things gnawed at me. Why such secrecy? And what wasn't being said? Camera pans across empty road, speedometer climbing. It wasn't long before I hit mile marker 204 near the Pine Ridge stretch in Colorado. My fuel warning lamp blinked just inside 100 miles to next known station. My palms sweated. Normal instinct would say, stop, tank up. But Rule 1 flashed in my mind. I calculated distance, prayed I could push beyond 2 a.m., and kept my foot down. I wish I'd stopped. I remember another trucker, Mike, from a Discord group I follow. He called himself Rim Hauler. One night, crossing New Mexico, his rig's heater faltered. He pulled off on a pitch-dark frontage road after midnight, no one else around. As he checked the engine, he saw about 50 feet off two figures standing in the spotlight haze. When he looked down, they vanished. He bolted to the cab, started the rig, and drove straight through the night, no coffee, no stops. He said, "I can't explain it, I just did what felt right. Sometimes it's less about rules, more about intuition. But my folder didn't mention trust, it only mentioned obedience." Around 1:40 a.m., the truck's radio sputtered static at first, then faint Malloy rules. I flipped the knob. It snapped to silence. I exhaled hard. Air seemed thick. That's when the dashboard clock clicked to 2 o'clock exactly. I was 20 minutes from a known station, long enough to risk rule 1. Fix what broke in me, a panic or success. I slowed the rig near the Pine Ridge exit. A hulking faded green station stood, lights off, empty pumps. I could smell diesel vapor lingering. The voice in my head screamed, "Do it." My heart argued back. Number I rolled past at a steady 60 miles per hour, ignoring the station. It felt wrong. That moment is the hinge of this journey. Choose caution or trust the rules. My wallet would have liked a fill-up. My cartridge said no. The rig jolted, clunking sound behind me. I cursed, heart pounding, glanced in the mirror, nothing. I reversed a bit to check. Engine drenched itself in silence. I climbed out under moonlight, saw no sign of external damage, ran my hand along the trailer smooth. No dents, no leaks, but my phone buzzed a single message. Rule 1 broken, you now belong to us. No number, no signature. And then the distance cracked a whisper of wind through the trees sounded like voices. Say the rules, follow the rules. I froze, then jumped back into the cab and slammed the door. Folks, this isn't just horror, it's a metaphor for boundaries, trust, and consequences. Every rule we follow or break carves a path forward. In trucking, especially night runs, we dance with danger all the time. Between weather, exhaustion, isolation, we develop code intuition. But submitting that to an unknown voice, that's something else entirely. I started the rig again. The dash clock read 2:07 a.m. The static on radio resolved into a low hum. I forced my foot on the accelerator into the black forest ahead, praying I wouldn't pay for that little lapse. In the rear view, the highway lights peeled away, but beyond the range of vision, something followed. I flicked the radio knob again, nothing. Then a hurricane of static roared to life, drowning out my heartbeat. Through the crackle, I heard a distant voice whispering, "Do not look back." My pulse spiked. That phrase wasn't just chilling, it was familiar. It matched rule 2. Never look into your rearview mirror after passing someone. My knuckles whitened, eyes fixed forward, feet tense, right on the gas pedal. I remembered the man at the lot warning, "They're written in blood." Just past mile marker 142, a silhouette stepped onto the shoulder someone in ragged clothes, hand thumping the side of my cab. A chill passed over me. Instinct screamed, "Stop, help them." But rule 2 screamed, "Never look back." My foot stayed pinned. I focused on the taillights, a head fixated on the horizon. Engine droned, glass rattled. Seconds passed like lifetimes. The shadow faded into the trees. My trembling hand hit the knob, radio dead. I once talked to Laura, a nurse who became my friend after a long-haul chat. She took an overnight shift and got on a back road to go home only to see a disheveled woman standing in the middle of the road at 2 a.m. Laura pulled over not to help but to stop when the woman whispered, "Please," then vanished. No footprints, no trace. Laura said she still wonders, was she real or was she something else? That same gut punch driven forward, not to belong, not to linger. 2 hours later, radio frequency changed again, this time to 87.9 FM. A slow, crackling voice whispered a warning. Rule 2 broken, now you're seen. The container rattled behind me, in time with the voice. It wasn't static, it was that whisper again. Seen. This rule wasn't about mate, was about them, whoever they were. I flicked the switch off, heart pounding so hard it got louder than any engine roar. I reached a dark crossroads at mile 117, a junction with no lights but the moon. I needed water. Deserted convenience store in sight, distant yellow glow. Rule 1 still blank, Rule 2 bleeding across my mind. I slowed the truck. Another beam of headlights approached from the left. A second rig passed, lights plunging me into darkness. When it passed, the convenience store was Goneno building. No lights, just a silent field beyond the pavement. Was it optical trickery, midnight fatigue, or the rules shifting reality? Here's where it gets psychological. Obedience means safety until it doesn't. These rules aren't suggestions, they're boundaries against something that breaks normal laws. Many of us know the tension, obey or question. In work, in life, what if compliance saves you or destroys you? A minute later, I saw headlights behind, again bright, too white, unblinking. No shape visible, just blinding beams in my mirror. The truck container trembled, exhaust rattled. No landscape, anything, just headlights. I floored it. Mile 110, speed climbing, radio back to 87.9. Rule 3 coming. Then laughter. Low, breathy, close. I glanced down at phone and no signal. Maps froze. The container had a pale stench seeping into cab. I shook it off, tried to focus on highway lines, on staying alive, but a slow tingle traveled my spine. The rule book folder glowed faintly on the dash, as if reacting to them ghostly fingerprints across the plastic cover. Sound effect, metal clank. Something tapped on the cab roof, hard, like a fist. Something tapped again, 2 taps, then silence. My breath stopped. I gripped the wheel tight enough to fracture knuckles. I thought of the man in black at the lot. No exceptions. We police ourselves with rules every day. Some keep us safe, some trap us. What kind of power does a rule have when no one explains it except that violation equals penalty? That's fear manifest. But sometimes, rules shield more than us, they shield unseen watchers. I lifted my gaze in the mirrorized blood-white reflexes just before the mirror cracked, spiderweb cracks blooming outward. The headlights disappeared. But then, a whisper, unmistakable, right behind my left ear. Rule 3 is next. The cab felt smaller, like the world was pressing in. I patted my chest. Heart, lungs, balance, all felt off kilter. The midnight highway stretched ahead, a black ribbon with no promise of dawn. I gripped the wheel, knuckles white under the neon glow of the dashboard. Radio static burst then, that female voice, distorted. Rule 3, you must not listen. My breath hitched. Rule 3. If your radio switches to 87.9 FM and speaks, turn it off immediately. Do not listen. The container behind me reverberated in low-frequency pulses, almost communicative. I reached over, thumb poised on the FM dial, trembling. A tap hummed, the radio auto-adjusted. 87.9 clicked in like a trap. My thumb froze. Then a whisper. You did well. But now, I slammed the dial off. Silence rushed in thick and suffocating. My vision tunneled. I blinked. The folder light on the dash dimmed. Calmore, the absence of chaos. But the moment of silence felt temporary. I checked the folder under my phone's dim light. Rule 4 lay ahead, on screen, but barely legible in the shadows. Years ago, a talk show host, Mark in Tulsa, accepted late-night calls from a station that wasn't supposed to exist. 88.3, 88.9 FM range. Listeners across 3 states reported whispers, voices, numbers, often repeating personal info. One caller heard, "You're on your route, 34.5 miles past milepost." Mark's broadcast cut off mid-read phone line silent. When tech crews tried to trace the frequency, they found no transmission towers, no license, just static. That incident still creeps me out like the radio is a door, and once it opens, you can't shut it fully. That's where I found myself. My eyes flicked to the rear view. No headlights, no pursuers, but my ears heard the container breathing a metallic hiss, a tone I couldn't place. In everyday life, we realize our tools, phones, radio, GPS help us navigate. But what if they navigate us? I forced the engine back to highway speed. I rehearsed the rules in my mind like a prayer. A sudden flash radio switched itself back to 87.9. The voice cut through. 3, 2, 1. Silence. The dash trembled. My stomach lurched as if I'd free-fallen. I slammed my palm on the dial, disconnecting it. But in that silence, I heard a voice behind me, clear as day. We're closer now. Radio isn't just background noise. It's a bridge to the unknown. We cling to gadgets for comfort. But in extreme scenarios, they can betray us like doors, opening to places we weren't meant to see. The device flips from guide to gatekeeper. Fog rolled across the highway. My headlights fractured into dim halos. I lowered a tinted visor because my eyes burned. The dash clock read 3:17 a.m. Rule 4. If headlights appear behind you without a visible vehicle, accelerate quickly. I pounded the accelerator. The rig responded sluggishly, like I was pulling something of immense weight. The container thudded. Then, in my rearview mirror, I saw them again. 2 headlights, identical to my rig's. No shape, no frame, just pure, clinical light. Panic rose like bile. I hauled the wheel right. The rig fishtailed slightly. My stomach flipped as gravity took hold. The headlights stayed dead center behind. I broke the pedal to the metal, shifting gears. RPMs climbed, at 60, then 70, but the headlights matched every inch. Not flashing, not lagging, just locked. This moment is primal when you know something's following you, but you don't know what it is. That unknown is far more terrifying than shape or face. Fear of the unseen is anxiety personified. I rounded a gentle curve-in hit, a patch of ice without warning. The truck spun. My mind flicked between panic and focus. I fought for control. The rig regained traction, wheels straightened, but I knew I'd broken Rule 4 by hitting ice. And Rule 4, never slow down or stop for headlights that can't be seen unless... I didn't know what the exception was. I passed through the curve, light stabilizing. My breath outran my thoughts. The radio crackled 89.1 FMV frequency outside rules. Rule 4, nearly broken. My eyes stung with tears. I flicked the dial. Silence. Ahead, I spotted movement on the highway. Something crouched, blocking the lane. My headlights illuminated it, yet it dissolved like smoke. My pulse stuttered. I swapped lanes without thinking, fighting gravity on an unseen turn. And in that moment, my rig lurched. The container's locks clicked open just a crack. My eyes darted to the folder, Rule 5 awaiting, but the next beat of music on the radio was something darker. The rig's speedometer read 55, heart thump rhythm. Headlights behind flickered, yanked me back. I remembered Rule 4, if headlights appear with no vehicle frame, accelerate quickly. I'd hit 70 miles per hour earlier, but that icy curve pulled me into a breach. Now I was past the test, but had I passed or just delayed the reckoning? I inhaled winter air through cracked window, mercury vacuumed cold, then headlights dimmed, but the rig's trailer tiles parted like ribs on breathing flesh, just a whisper in the sheet metal. I flicked to the folder in soft dawn light. Rule 5. Never read aloud messages on roadside caution signs. Some words don't belong spoken in the dark. My pulse thumped. I scanned the fog-lashed road ahead. Suddenly a sign glittered in the glare. Chalk scrawled, "Don't say her name." My head rocked. Name? What name? I slowed. Instinct battled obedience. My fingertip touched the paper. I recoiled. Rule 5. The label felt cold. I shivered. Years back, I heard of a cursed relic locket from a cold case. The buyer read its engraved message aloud during a televised show. The next night, footage showed shadows curling around their bed. They canceled the show, locked the locket away. Whispers say they never spoke its words again. Words can be portals. Obedience can save use as much as silence. Then the rig shook. An internal hum pulsed through the floorboards. My seat vibrated. The trailer's seals rattled. It was like something inside was waking. A whisper, low, unintelligible. Metal shifted. I pressed my ear to the container wall. A voice hissed, "Her name." Goosebumps prickled. The folder glowed faintly under the dash. Some messages are written to warn, to teach, others to summon. In this case, the sign was a boundary. Speaking breaks the seal. Page 5 was a lock for something living behind metal and fog. My phone buzzed. GPS ping destination. 2247 Inos Trials Road, Warehouse 7. ETA, 3:45 a.m. But arrival wasn't salvación, it meant revelation. Fog intensified. Rear view dimmed. Headlights vanished. I passed under a single amber streetlight, then I saw her. A figure sealant, in a faded white dress soaked in dirt or blood, stood not moving, her head tilted. She held a black locket. The sign on the side said, "Her name, Anae." I slammed the brakes, but the trailer doors rattled open a few inches. The locket pitifully clicked to the pavement. I saw it glint. My breath froze. When we encounter a boundary, we test it, especially when stakes are high. Money, fame, secrets. But sometimes boundaries exist for innate reasons, not laws or safety. The highway ended at a silent industrial park. My GPS pinged 2247 Inos Trials Road. Midnight oil, 4:30 a.m. High stakes, no turning back. The sign read Warehouse 7 in faded white paint, nothing else. I slowed to a crawl. Fog draped over the yard, rows of trailers, shuttered doors. I parked under a single amber bulb. It sputtered. The folder buzzed with adrenaline. Rules 1-5 scrawled in messy, blood-red ink, each tested, each obeyed, but I felt as though I'd been sliding down a staircase of consequences. I climbed out, heartbeat pounding like a vice around an open wound. I unlocked the container door. It rolled up with a screech of old metal. Inside, resting on a pallet, the locket, blackened and cracked, no other cargo. Behind it, folding into the darkness, a shape. A small girl, she couldn't have been more than 6. Pale as curdled milk, eyes black voids. She rocked slowly on the wooden pallet, hair tangled, dress filthy, no emotion, just watching. I swallowed hard. Rules flooded back. I didn't speak her name, yet she turned her head, slowly, her gaze attached. I remembered a story about an archaeological team in Eastern Europe. They unearthed a reliquary said to hold a saint's finger bone. When whispers of their find circulated, shipments were made in secret. The relic would open and close, whispering the saint's name in the dark, driving anyone who heard it to madness. Eventually, the shipment was intercepted and locked in the Vatican archives. Real cargo sometimes carries cursed artifacts soaked in history, capable of surviving law but not consequences. I steadied myself. Her lips parted no voice, no words, my throat constricted. Was obeying the rules now unkind? Would breaking them set her freer doom me? The fog glowed around her. Moonlight diffused through the warehouse dust. I glanced at the folder, Rule 5. I forced a deep breath. I whispered her name under my breath. Anael. Time fractured. The girl's head snapped up, expression morphing terrifyingly. Her eyes ignited with inhuman flame. Floorboards shuddered. I stumbled back. A scream tore from my throat. The folder's paper scorched my grip. I dropped it. Her voice amplified in the sealed steel code. He spoke it. Names hold power. In mythology, knowing true names unlocks control or destruction. In our daily lives, we dismiss them. But in this moment, naming was invitation. The rules weren't just safeguards, they were seals. I broke on, and mock silence meant to hold back this thing. Footsteps 2 pairs. Distant. I dropped to one knee. In the glare of headlights through slats, 2 figures in black arrived. One reached out, binding me with charmed restraints etched with runes. No exceptions, they said together. They loaded Anael into a padded case. One man whispered to her, "We heard you speak her name." She stared, then smiled. I felt a door lock behind them. I was left with the folder blank pages for Rule 6 perhaps or just nothing. I sat on the concrete floor. Lights flared. The final words of warehouse speaker, "Welcome, driver. You're one of us now." The door shut. My back pressed against cold concrete as the warehouse door slid closed. I heard the driver's door latch shut, audio computing like a heartbeat. My eyes darted to the folder and my sight its blank last pages staring like a sentence undone. "Welcome," the tall figure repeated, voice a whisper and a roar. I swallowed, my hands itched, like praying but with no deity. They marched me deeper past crates stamped with occult glyphs and drip marks that weren't paint. I could smell her, the girl's scent of old earth, of bone, of sorrow. They spoke to me in hushed tones. "You passed the trials. You have integrity." But more than that, you then spoke. I realized then, the rules weren't just borders. They were protocols. Boundaries to contain the unknown, but also to demonstrate alliance. Obedience marked membership. Breaking the silence, especially whispering, Aniel signaled alignment. This journey was never about survival, it was an initiation. Fear breeds compliance. Compliance yields access. In real organizations, corporate, spiritual secretuals are often loyalty tests disguised as safety. But here, there were deeper stakes. The cargo ghost, relic, curses could only be handled by those who obey and who speak. The rules were filters. They escorted me back to the cab. I opened the door. The rig hummed engine still warm. Folder on dash now, annotated with a 6th rule, typed in clear. Rule 6, when you join, there is no leaving. Beneath it, a signature. Driver number 4121, Mary lost sticks. I slid into the seat. I closed my eyes. I inhaled. Sometime later, how much? I can't say. I rolled out of that yard at sunrise. I drove alone. No phone signal, no music, no radio. I thought I'd be terrified forever. Instead, something inside shifted. That folder resides in my glove compartment now, its pages blank again, but I've memorized them. I've driven many runs since. I smile at deserted stations, wave to phantom girls. The headlights behind, friendly, familiar. A former oil field worker once confided, "Once you've seen the machinery you can't unsee, you can either walk away and never be the same or lean in and become wired to it." That's what it means to join something you initially resist. Either walk in with eyes open or keep glancing back afraid. He said, "You don't leave, you can only drive another route." So here's where it lands for you. Rules are more than safety nets, they're identity markers. Silence holds power, breaking it demonstrates intent. We all carry Aniel's the names, ghosts, boundaries we dare or refuse to say. In our world, social media, corporate life, personal relationships, sometimes just speaking the unspoken opens doors we can't close. We gain membership and lock ourselves in. It might come with money, it might come with belonging, but it never comes without a cost. I look in the mirror now and see a different man. This rig, this life, it's mine. I belong to the road, to the unsayable, to them. And if you ever find an envelope, a list of rules, a voice in your radio, listen carefully. Obey only what you're prepared to carry: names, secrets, cargo you can't unload. Because once you speak, once you hold that throttle, there is no going home.